especially like the Hearthstone community just wasn't very nice to me. And I was kind of traumatized by it. And like to the point where like, oh my god, whenever I think about it, it makes me want to cry. But like, if I would ever like raid people or like host people, chat would like start shitting on me. I don't know. It made me like really want to disappear and not feel welcome. And oh, the feels. And I remember Northern Line's chat was so nice to me. And every time I would like join or be in chat, they would just be happy to see me. And that was like such a 180 from what I was used to. So I have very fond memories of NLSS.
Everyone, different type of video. You can tell by the intro with Hafu telling her really sad story. And if you've been on Twitter at all, basically this weekend in the Hearthstone scene, there is a lot going on, and I want to talk about it. And the last time I talked about this in December, the representation issue in Hearthstone, it was pretty ugly. I got a lot of flack from it, and I expect the same this time around, and I don't care. I don't care because it's important to me. It's important to a lot of people in the community, and I want to communicate this because there's something just being perpetuated consistently by the community management team at Hearthstone that is leading to a really negative, toxic, horrible environment for women in Hearthstone in particular. And we're going to talk about that today. It's uncomfortable. It's not great. And again, I'm sure I will get some hateful comments and some unsubscribes. We're close to 25K. I'm probably screwing that up. But again, this is too important for me to not talk about. So let's talk about it. If you're not aware of what's going on, there was recently a Hearthstone Invitational announced. You can see here where like 20 competitors, there's 2 women, and Slissa went on to Twitter and talked about how this keeps happening. This is not good for representation for females in the game. And this has been an issue that's been ongoing. And if you don't recall, last summer, the same thing happened with the Battlegrounds tournament. Sun Glitters at the time made a post about it and talked about the representation issues there. And, you know, they last minute added Slissa herself to the event, where she kicked ass, by the way, and blew up afterwards, by the way. But since then, it's been the same status quo, perpetuated by Hearthstone, the community management team there. It continues to happen, and there's consequences to that. And before you just crap on this video saying representation, you know, you shouldn't force 50% or 50% and all this stuff, I'm going to link, and please look at Jaya's thread. She is a caster for Hearthstone. She literally works for HS Esports and Blizzard. Very smart woman, very good Hearthstone player. She has kicked my ass on ladder countless times. She's really good, and her thread is amazing about it. She can say it better than I could ever say it. Why it's not about forcing a 50-50 thing. It's not about that. It's not about being sexist in itself to try and force feed women down our throats. It's just read it, please. I'm not going to go into it because she does such an amazing job. So please hear her out on that. But this video is just to show the consequences. The consequences of Hearthstone basically saying that this game is basically for men, that gaming is basically for men by basically only including men at most events outside of a few token girls, right? Like they have the bare minimum. You have to admit, 2 out of 20 is basically the bare minimum outside of just one woman, right? One woman would be the absolute bare minimum. They went one up and a beyond and put 2, when there are countless content creators that could be invited that literally hit the metrics that a lot of these men hit, if you want to go down that road. But anyways, we're going to talk about the stories that are just terrifying that women have to go through, and a lot of it is perpetuated by this. Of course, there are a lot of morons out there that aren't affected by Hearthstone's decisions, but again, these women have to go through it. So let's share their stories, and maybe you can get an idea of why this needs to change. First, I'll just start with Slissa. This YouTube comment she posted, basically after the whole outcry from last summer, Blizzard came to her to put on together an all-female tournament, which she was happy to put together. It had no prize money for some reason, and it was not hosted on their channel, or they didn't even really promote it. It was all up to Slissa, but they at least gave her the resources to put together the tournament. But she said she wanted, 50-50 men and women, to make it an equal tournament rather than just force feed all women. And they told her that they were worried that the men would beat up on the women and it would look bad. If you want to talk about sexist crap, that's up there. That is pretty brutal. And so she wasn't even allowed to invite men, period. And it's funny that they're worried about women or getting beat up by men in this tournament. But when Slissa was in the BG's tournament she was invited to, she kicked ass. She was the best performer. F2K recently hosted a 50% men and women Battlegrounds tournament. All the top point earners in those events were women. So really, really crazy stuff there. But it just shows you their mindset, like how detached they are from reality. Like, let's say the men beat the women in this thing, they outperform them, who cares? It's Hearthstone, it's Battlegrounds. There's so much random crap. Could you honestly ever give a woman or a man crap for losing in this game? It's just kind of preposterous. Next we have Pathra's story. She got so much crap. If you don't know who Pathra is, she was the first ever female GM, and she was put into the content creator spot on, I think the Asia server or the Asia region. They had a couple of content creator spots for each thing, and it was between Pathra and Naviute, and they picked Pathra. She had done well at some tournaments. She's a very well known in the community. She's done well in ladder. Anyway, she was invited. She didn't perform particularly well. Let's be real. She didn't perform well. She got relegated, but regardless, she had earned her way there, as all the other content creators had on all the other regions. And she just got crapped on the entire time. If you ever read Twitch chat while she was playing, it was just nonstop barrage sexist comments. And this was further perpetuated by another streamer that she outed here. Didn't name him publicly, but it came out later. Naviute came out to apologize and say he's going to work on bettering himself. But basically, this creator sent his army of people from his Discord. They were super sexist. They would say horrible, vile things on their Discord and went after her on Twitter, on her stream, on all these different tournaments, and just attacked her. And it was an awful experience for her that she's still trying to recover from. And finally, I talked to her about this over a year ago personally and how much it bothered her. And just a couple days ago, she was finally able to go public with it. And it's just insane. And she no longer plays Hearthstone. She no longer streams Hearthstone. Her YouTube is no longer Hearthstone, because it breaks her heart to see the scene the way it is. And I know this personally. I've talked to her. I'm friends with Pathra, and it's just awful. And she's even been invited to some events at sometimes as one of the token girls, and she recognizes that. And she's like, please just invite somebody else, get more women in the scene. And it sucks to see, but again, it's this whole women shouldn't be in there, and she's got that token spot that they're gonna say it's a token spot because that's how they see it, and they attack her, and it's awful. Next we have Aveline. She's another pro Hearthstone player. She's been at Masters Tour events and has a very successful stream, and basically she talks about how she's had other players, literally other players, reputable players in the community, threaten to have people come out and physically assault her to very extreme levels. And this was, she shared these messages with the Hearthstone team, and their actions were to suspend the player for a week for threatening to, for them threatening bodily harm to her because basically she's a woman trying to compete in a man's game. And again, perpetuating this awful stigma. And we also have Baby Bear, another professional player, been at tons of Masters Tour events, very good player. Basically, she got invited to a team and was ridiculed by people reputable people again within the community about just being part of the team because she's a woman. And again, it's insane what these women have to go through. And I'll leave off with Songbird Cora, her story. She's literally a card designer on the Hearthstone team, and she has dealt with this garbage. When she was hired and joined by the team, she was made aware of Discord messages from reputable Hearthstone content creators and people in the community saying she only got it because she's a girl, she didn't deserve it, I deserved it more, and crapped on her, and it just gave her shit. And again, she had to deal with that. And this is an ongoing horrible trend that the women of our community have to deal with every single day, of getting all this hate. And I don't get this as a male creator. I mean, I know I'm not invited to any events, but I don't have to deal with this ridiculous crap that, well, I only, my YouTube channel is only doing well because I'm a guy or something like that. And I just want you guys to know these stories, hear them out, whether you agree or disagree about the representation issue. I think you can agree that nobody deserves this kind of hate, this kind of treatment. And a lot of it, unfortunately, stems from this message that is sent by basically only including men in almost all these events, and basically saying women are tokens and afterthoughts when they should be a prominent featured part of our community and not just like a 10% tick of that, you know, check mark that apparently the community management team has at Blizzard. And I hope things change, and not just for women, but of all people of color, of all people in general that should be included, underrepresented creators in general, smaller creators that could be, you know, highlighted by some of these events, and not just have Crip and Kibler at literally every event when they already have millions of followers, already have millions of dollars, and literally gain pretty much nothing from these events. It would be nice to see it spread to the entire community to help promote the game, because believe me, growing the community as a whole will also help grow your game and not just perpetuating the same crap. So if you hate the video, I get it, but I have to put this out there. I have to put my support for people I care about, genuinely care about, my friends, and I mean, I care about my family and stuff. If this was my sister or my mother or my aunt or my niece or whatever, I would want to share this story for them. And hopefully you guys can share this story, and I hope that the women of Hearthstone and women in general and all people in general get the love and support that they deserve. And we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.